What's up, everybody?
Hello, welcome in.
Welcome back into another Sunday Sessions. We're super excited about today's conversation, and of course, we hope you are too. Of course, thank you for joining us. I think this is the fourth week. Fourth week. And so, of course, as you're coming in, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell so that you're always, notified when we're going live and stuff like that. Also, consider joining this growing community, consider volunteering in this community, and of course, check out the merch. We do have merch. Some great designs up in there. Absolutely. Yeah. And then, it was something, I had a thought earlier today, and I put this in my notes just kind of randomly. And it's like, as far as what we're doing with building community and what we're doing on this channel in particularly, the goal really is to help those who want to be free and shame those who dare intervene. Like that's like me. That's where we're not trying to, at least with our approach to community, we're not trying to convince anybody else to believe anything differently. We're not trying to change anybody's minds. Much of what I do on my channel, most of you know, is just sharing my experiences and seeing if there's anybody else out there who those experiences resonate with. Because that's how you find community. But the other part of that is those that it does resonate with, I want to help those people. Everybody who I can help, I want to help. And you damn right, if anybody tries to get in the way of that, I will make them feel ashamed of themselves. And I don't know that. And so that line, it was in my head today. You look like you wanted to say something, babe. Yeah, absolutely. Don't stop progress. Don't be getting in the way. So announcements. Hey, listen, if you've signed up for our email list or to volunteer, please check your spam. All right. Check your spam. We've sent some emails out. And then, of course, those of you that's been hanging out with us, hey, listen, if you've missed any one of these, please go check them out. Last week's was a little choppy. I hope this one is a little better. And I'm sure we'll see that feedback in the chat. But please go check out last week's anyway. I know it's a little hard to bear through, but man, it was a lot of good information and a lot of good conversation as well. And then also this week, I will be on Truth Wanted on May the 10th. I believe that's Friday. As soon as I have the time and everything, I will, which I think I probably do, but I don't remember it right now, but I'll definitely get that graphic up and out. And so we're going to be excited about that. And so we're looking forward to that. So if you signed up for our email list, if you signed up to volunteer, please make sure you're checking your spam so that you're getting all of our communication. If you haven't checked out last Sunday's conversation, do yourself a favor and make some time to do that. And then, of course, come hang out with us in the chat on Truth Wanted. This will be my first time hanging out with them, so I am looking forward to what may come. Absolutely, absolutely. This is our fourth week in our introductory series that we're calling our Thesis of Secular Community. And last week we discussed making space make sense based on information and ideas that we've been wrestling with and even experimenting with for the past 10 years. Today we're going to pick up that conversation by exploring some more ideas around this, around funding and sustainability and around legalities and ethics. Because, of course, if you're building community and your aim is to be intentional, these are things that you definitely want to be mindful of and that you want to be considerate of. So whether you're interested in joining us in our community or experimenting with some community building of your own, this series of conversations should be immensely valuable for all of us. If you know anyone who you may feel may benefit from this type of conversation, let's go ahead and link them in so that we can all continue to grow together. Good morning. What's going on? I love that. Advocating for humanity. All right, so we're going to open this discussion up a little bit, talking about funding and sustainability. And so those of you who are on our email list, you already got the outline of today's conversation, which is, and of course, those of you who watched last Sunday, we still kind of told you what we'd be discussing today as well. And so we're going to start with funding and sustainability. And, you know, whether or not, you know, and remember this, for those of you who don't know, if this is your first time, I don't know. What we're discussing in this particular series, which we're calling the Thesis of Secular Community, is basically different ideals around building secular community, and no matter which way you're starting with that. So whether you're building something that looks more like a church, something that looks more like a country club, I don't know. We're just kind of discussing all of those ideals and giving some principles, some frameworks, not necessarily a blueprint, because there is nothing more variable than people, you know. So I don't think blueprints necessarily work, but we are sharing some type of yeah. Absolutely. Well, yeah, just helping people move from conception to community, whether you're wanting to be a part of what we're doing or whether you're wanting to build a community where you are. We thought this series would be helpful for people who are passionate about secular community. And we thought it would be a great way to introduce what we're kind of doing as well. And so we've discussed a lot over the past 3 weeks, and like, yeah, that's why I'm like, man, if you haven't jumped into those, please do, especially those of you who are passionate about building secular community where you are. But whether or not you'll need funding for your community and what you will need funding for will solely depend on what you're wanting to do with your community, right? And so, like, we've talked about the purpose, mission, values, and all of those types of things. We've talked about different types of groups, whether you're doing small groups or service groups or, you know, any other thing like that. You have to determine, you know, ultimately with the team that you pull around yourself, what you're expecting to do and what you're wanting to do with community, you know, what you're expecting and what you're wanting to do with community. And so you may or may not need funding for meeting space. If meeting together is all you're going to do, you may not need funding. There are libraries, there's colleges, and there's coffee shops that could meet that need, especially in the beginning. Right, coffee shops. And if meeting is all you're planning to do with your community, you don't really need to consider the funding aspect at all. But then again, if that's what you're doing, if the only thing you're doing is just meeting, then you're not necessarily building community at that point. You're just kind of building a group, which can be a great starting place for community. And that's one of the things that I do encourage people to do. If you're kind of passionate about this idea of community, but you're unsure where to start, a great starting place is just start a group. Just a group of people based off of an interest that your community would be interested in. So whether that interest is skepticism, or that interest is critical thinking, which is a little broad, or that interest is social justice, or that interest is community progress. You can start a group, and then from that group you can give yourself that buffer room and that time to better understand what building a community would look like. My main goal is to get people active. Whatever you can do wherever you are. If there's communities around you that are already kind of doing that, then get active with them. And if there's none, then find a way to get active. And an easy way to do that, it's probably the most effective way, is to start a group. But just realize that if you are trying to build community, then you do eventually want that group to grow beyond that. So if what you're trying to do right now is just meet, then you really shouldn't need funding. If what you're trying to do is just meet, then finances may not be a big deal. Now, if you're trying to meet and eat, now then things change a little bit. But if you're just trying to meet and eat, then everybody can either bring their own food, pay for their own food, or everybody can yeah, you can go ahead and click it. Yay. Oh, I understand. Oh man. It has been a busy weekend for us as well. But yeah, if you want to. Huh? The audio's a little chirpy. Why? I wonder why. Why are you whispering? I wonder why. I don't know, because it was doing that last week as well, and so we do need to figure out what's going on there. Yeah, yeah. I don't mind you putting stuff like that on the screen, sweetheart. Like I told you before, we ain't gotta hide. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Huh? Oh, yikes. Now, I don't know why the audio would be doing that. Let me see here. And it's chippy. It shouldn't be the internet because the video. Is the video impacted by it? Or is the video going well? It's just audio? And so I'll just keep talking. Is that what you're doing? Are you testing it? Oh, okay. All right. So I will keep talking. So yeah. Okay, the video's fine. Not. I am not. Okay, so yeah, if you're meeting, oh yeah, if you're meeting and eating, yeah, if you're meeting and eating, then yeah, you're gonna need a little bit of funding, but you can self-fund. It says no audio now. Like what happened? Maybe it's back. Maybe it's back. But you can self-fund. I hope it's back. Yeah, you can cut that up a little bit just to make sure. Yeah, it's back. Perfect. Yay! All right. But if you want to do more than just meet and eat, then you're probably gonna want funding. Again, just meeting. You can go to Starbucks. You can go to the library. You can go to, I don't know. You can meet at parks. I mean, there's no reason that you can't meet outside unless the weather's weather pending. So you get what's going on, paying homage. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Museums are great places. So you have all types of opportunities to save money on funding, especially if your goal is to save in the beginning, and you should, so I wouldn't suggest, if you're building community and you're just getting started, to go out and rent a building, or rent a space, or try to get a mortgage. That might be possible. It's not on this one, is it? Nope. But yeah, I wouldn't advise that. Instead, check out your rec centers, your community centers, and just see, hey, do y'all have space available? And again, most colleges and libraries do make that kind of space available. And I kind of find college campuses perfect for stuff like that, for just your meeting group. I'm not specifically talking about evangelizing, but just being in a space where your group, where you have access to the internet, and you have access to books and things of that nature. We do need to do an atheist revival, don't we? Set it on up. Set it on. You know what? That does seem like it would be a really good event. I'm gonna have to see. Now you got my mind thinking. And now I don't know why I said that, but my mind went to an R. Kelly song when I said, "Now you got my mind thinking." My mind's telling me, I'm not gonna sing R. Kelly on here. I don't want to do that. Anyway, so if you're doing more, I did see that. Okay, so let's talk about it. I didn't know if anybody saw that. I did see it, and I watched maybe about 5 minutes of it, and then I said, "Oh, these are kids," and so I didn't watch any more of it. I wrestled with the idea of doing a comeback video, but then, like I said, I got up from the children's table for a reason, so I won't be letting them bring me back to the children's table. What was funny is they did the video and kept asking me questions without me being there, and so that already kind of tells you where their integrity lies, right? So no, it was if anything, the best thing I can say is that I am so thankful for the free publicity. What's funny is they seem to be socially no brighter than the believers that come in my comments. And again, I don't think that all believers are not bright, but this particular brand of believers seem not to be too bright. Anytime you see something that somebody else is doing, and you feel the need to pick at them or call them names or anything like that, you're already moving from the wrong posture. And then the whole ideology is he doesn't believe what we believe, and so now he's our enemy, right? I don't roll with people like that. When I was in high school, I had some friends that tried to get me to join a gang using that very similar tactic. And it was like, well, Darante, if you was on our side, if you joined our gang, if something happened to you, we could jump in and fight for you. Yeah, I don't do bandwagon stuff, right? So I stand where I stand because it's the right place to stand. And little children playing games to get attention won't move me off my square. So I'll leave that at that. I may do a clip of that and put that out there. I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I saw it. I definitely. Like I said, children will be children. Children will be children. There are a lot of people out here, and again, this is one of the reasons I left the faith. I was surrounded by people who behaved like that and who reasoned like that, and it bothered me because even the apostle formerly known as Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I reasoned as a child, but when I became an adult, I put childish things away. And what's amazing to me is that I find quite a few believers that, right? Come on now. I find quite a few believers who have not put childish things away. And I am, it's not shocking to me. It doesn't bother me in the least bit. It's just like, wow, like you really put your ignorance on display. But again, I've been a part of this for two plus decades. I'm used to believers being ignorant. It's
And we touched on that in one of the lives previously about not letting like disagreement be disconnection.
yes.
When you speak with people who are still immature and things of that nature, you find the smallest thing will
I'm gonna try a few more things with this audio real quick. If let's see, did that make a difference? I think
Can y'all hear me now?
internet there. Yes. Says your mic isn't working. What? Let me try it again. Give me just a moment. The devil is busy, y'all. The devil is busy. Your mic is so it's your mic that's not getting picked up. And so let me see what I can do there. That might be a my fault issue. I might have the wrong let's try it now. Speaking your mic.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Nope.
No.
Now.
How about now? Testing one. Hello, hello.
That does seem low. All right, so I know what to do here. We're gonna, cause I don't. Where's my mic? Right there. Do this, and then we're gonna move my mic to the middle.
Can y'all hear me now?
Can you hear me now? And there was a lot of no's.
Hello, hello.
All right, we should both be in this piece now. Is that looking good? Is that sounding good?
Yeah, I'm gonna just have to project a little more.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
Yes.
all right,
Okay.
be back in there. All right, so let me close voice meter altogether. Yeah, so that was a voice meter problem. That's the software that we're using. So it was your mic the whole time.
Okay.
Your mic bringing us down.
Let me just turn this on.
Yeah, I guess so, right? I'm gonna close out a voice meter, and I will. That way, I can biggie size OBS, and all is good. I love it. Where were we at?
Sharon is Karen. That's
Sharon is Karen. Sharon is Karen.
Well, we're talking about not having to worry about funding if you.
If you're just meeting and you're just getting started, please check out your libraries and stuff. But no, as you're growing, and again, depending on what your plans are, what your ideas are, and what your community is like, for like typically when you're building community, you need to look at diverse revenue streams, right?
Right.
So the easiest one and the obvious one are membership fees or membership dues. Thank you. Membership fees, membership dues, however you want to call them. You may not want to call them tithes, and you probably don't want to do percentage based. But again, that's not something, and please understand that the thing that I'm advocating is not for you to necessarily make a decision. It was the devil. Is not necessarily for you to make a decision for your community. Is to give you some things to think about so that as you're building community, you can kind of ask each other, like, how do we want to do this? And I don't mind percentages. I think that may be a safe route, but you can also do tiered programs. So you can have, I don't know, you have bronze members, silver members, gold members. I really don't know. Percentages may be the easiest point, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, and that's good to think about membership fees and how you're gonna set that up, because even on we were talking about our youngest daughter is in a dance group and they pay membership fees, right, for monthly for classes, and then they also have to pay a recital fee for dances, and they still have to, people who are going to come support, they have to charge for tickets. And we had a conversation about it, but it made you think, why not set up any organization going to start, if you're going to have membership fees, why not set it up where we could be prepared to pay a good amount to make sure it's accessible for the people you have it, who are in it or who are participating. If we still have to ask for money or we still have to come together to pay for something, then maybe there's a loophole that we can close in there.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's more so along the line of realizing, okay, so there are a lot of dance things in different places. I don't even know how to say it. Dance things, dance troops, dance companies, dance production companies, and basically it's a way for young people in the community to get access to the arts, right? And so, but they're typically they're going to have to pay to be a part of it. They're going to have to pay for their costumes. And then they're actually going to have to pay to participate in the recitals and the performances. And then their parents and friends and family members are going to have to pay to come see them. Yeah. Now, in the church context, members show up and give, and kids participate and dance without having to pay. And then the families and the friends get to come and watch the production without having to pay.
Yeah.
When they want costumes and things of that nature, when the church has it in the budget, the church will cover the cost of those things. If the church doesn't have it in the budget, they will do fundraisers for those things. But that was just after seeing that's where that conversation kind of led to. It helped us realize that, man, that's another area that secular community could really make a difference by making the arts accessible, not just to the kids that want to participate in them, but then also to the parents and families that want to support them. Because, you know, and I'm not knocking those professional dance things. I mean, that's a great thing, you know, and that's how they're doing it. But building community allows you to undergird stuff like that in ways that you couldn't have done as an individual. Which has been one of the biggest benefits of the church. I think a lot of the benefits of churches have absolutely nothing to do with spirituality, have absolutely nothing to do. Right, you know what? Oh, yeah, right. You know, it had absolutely nothing to do with spirituality or all of those things. I mean, I think we kind of trick ourselves into using the language. But a lot of times it's it's the services and auxiliaries that those things were able to make available for people. Yeah. Even if especially for Black people in a Black church. And I don't even want to make this all right, because it definitely led to some toxic mindsets. But for a lot of people in the Black church, especially for Black men and for some reason older women, it was Black men and older women. Church was the only place that they could find a sense of authority. A sense of respect, you know, a sense of other people looking up to me. And that's why you ended up with the deacons boards and the mothers boards and all these other smorgasbords. But right, you know. But yeah, so for your funding, obviously you start with your member fees or however you want to do that. Or you don't have to do fees. You can make it donor based. Believe it or not, there are actually plenty of Christian churches that don't do tithes at all. They don't do 10%. Everybody just donates. And that can work. Especially, let me tell you what that works at. That works when everybody is kind of healthy financially. Yeah. You know,
you got to have consistency there, right?
Yeah, you got to have some consistency. You know, well, I don't. It depends on what your goals are. If you're if you're not trying to have, you know, a nice building and stuff, and you're just meeting, then no, not for real. You don't really, and that's the thing. Like when it comes to your financial goals, just be realistic. I think that's what gets people in trouble a lot of times, is that why can't you just be real about what you need the money for?
What you need.
And then if you know what you need the money for, then you know how much you need. And so again, like if your idea of community, if the thing you want to build is just a place for people to come together and talk through their deconstruction stuff, then you don't need a significant financial plan for that. But if you want to be able to, let's say, just provide basic resources like maybe worksheets or something, I don't know, maybe coffee and donuts to make this more appetizing, then you absolutely can go off of just an offering scenario. Yeah. Because you're not having to pay a mortgage, you're not having to pay for insurance or anything like that. So I don't want to say that it would be necessarily a problem just out of the consistency part. The consistency issue comes into play when you have consistent bills. If the version of community you're wanting to do is going to lead to consistent bills, then you would want the membership of your community giving consistently. But that has to be a conversation, at least in my estimation. I don't think that's something you should pick for your community, especially if it's just you. You know, if it's just you, and then because at that moment it becomes dictatorship. All right, everybody that comes to me, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to be done. We've actually held off on doing a lot of things because we've always wanted to wait to make sure other people were at the table, because we don't want to fall into that trap of building something that's just a cult around our personality. You know, like that's just not healthy for anybody. Getting started is always the biggest step. And and it's the hardest step and it's the easiest at the same time, because everything seems even harder after there. But
Yeah.
I think the reason that it's always the biggest step is because once you do it, you've done it. So if you just start, I don't know, reaching out to a few of your local Facebook friends, if you want to do something local, or which I'd say start local at the very least, and I'll talk about that a little bit more why. But you're trying to do something with your local Facebook friends, people, it may be just 2 or 3 people, who are whatever you want to build your community around. Because again, it isn't necessary. I'm not necessarily saying everybody build these atheist groups. We're bigger than that, right? We're people, so we're really just talking about people-based groups, and there's a lot of things that you can build your community around. But whatever it is that you choose to build it around, you get those people together and say, hey, 2 or 3 people say, hey, let's just start meeting up once a week for us to discuss this. And then let's just start inviting other people to come. And let's make it a little appealing for them to come. So let's just say if they're coming, again, if you're using one of those free spaces like Starbucks, which that's kind of public. So if you're trying to go for safety, I don't know. But
Right.
but if you're going for free space, you can do again, if you go Starbucks, then you say, and everybody that we invite to come, we'll let them know we'll cover their coffee. That makes it, kind of attractive.
Attractive. Yeah. That's a good point. Make sure whatever you're building, it's attractive.
Absolutely.
Would people support this? Are people going to come to this? So I like that piece.
Yeah, it is, because if you want people to come, then you are saying, I want this to be attractive. I want this to attract people. And so, which we kind of talked about last week, that goes into the importance of paying attention then to people and what attracts people, right? So you think about those things. So you can do membership fees, you can do donations, and then you can also do merchandising, which typically comes later, and that's really whatever the cause is for your community. Find a way to put that messaging on shirts, on hats, on cups, because the members of your community are going to be proud to support those things anyway, and that's a great way for them to tell other people about the community. So I think the big point here when it comes to the funding piece is that you have options, and those your members can do fees, and y'all get together and talk about that and figure that out, and let that be something that can be revisited, because we'll talk a little bit about legal structure and stuff, but make sure that you build some flexibility into how you're working with your community, so that way, like every quarter, every year, whatever, you're going back and looking at those things and wondering and asking yourself, is this something that I can use, or is this something that we need to revisit? Let's see how our community feels about this. Last year, our basic membership fee was I can't even think of what I'm saying. Last year, our basic, 10%. And then say, well, this year, after talking to our community, we realized that's not workable. So we're going to switch it to 5%, or we're going to switch from a percentage and just go from an offering based program altogether, that just give what you can when you can. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The beautiful thing about secular community is there are no books that are divine that are telling you how you have to do it. The thing that kind of dictates that, as far as I understand, is that you need to the people. I'm sorry, I got thrown off because I realized I just posted in the chat, and and I was like, that's not me. Yeah, I was like, that's supposed to. But anyway, and then of course event ticketing. So you can do some events that would be helpful. That would be helpful for you, but you'd have to figure out what's going to be attractive to your community. So those are some of the basic things. Now, bigger things are grants and partnerships. And one particular area in grants, and I know a lot of people, I'm not a fan of grants, and I'll tell you why. The only reason I'm not a fan of grants is just because there's a bunch of scam artists out there who keep selling people on these ideas of getting money for nothing, and I don't like that, But that's a whole nother other rabbit trail. But there is one particular area of grants that I think secular communities would probably be uniquely beneficial to and benefited by, and those are research grants. And those are ones that people really don't go after often, you know. But research grants, which are basically grants to research different things. And so secular communities, especially those of us who are concerned about people, you know, we're people centric, we're progressive thinking. We're concerned about, you know, people having better lives. We're concerned about people having access to the tools and the resources for people to better their lives. Then maybe if you're building your community around that, you could apply for some research grants to do the actual research to determine what's going on, what's needed, and how you can help. Because here's a just a hot topic. One of the reasons people don't one of the biggest reasons people don't get their grants is because they don't have enough information to support what they're saying they're trying to do. And so instead of going for this grant where you say you're going to do all of these audacious things, why not go for a grant that says I'm going to commit to researching all of these things, and then you will have the information of yes or no, this is feasible, practical or not. And then you can apply for other types of grants, you know. So I'm not against grants on any other reasons. It's just there's so many scam artists who really have people set up on false ideologies.
And that's what the medical community is very good at, is utilizing the research grants to do research on pretty much everything, every small thing that they're studying. You know, you have a research institution for, and so there's so many different aspects within this community that we could research when it comes to economics, social behavior, human behavior, even religion coming in and out. And so, yeah, so many things we can research to familiarize ourselves.
Absolutely. And again, I think that's a huge benefit to secular communities, because then you can pick a problem to research, and then that can even inform what your community is going to do. That can help you inform what problems your community wants to tackle. And then just a big thing, if you want to keep people excited about donating to your community, make sure you're showing them what you want to do, that you're actually giving them the plan. To me, that's the most ethical way to go forward with that, is to make sure, like, whatever money we're asking for at any time, it needs to be tied to something. So again, if you're just meeting at a Starbucks and if you're collecting money, it needs to be, hey, well, we're getting this money so we can buy you all free coffee, which then that just seems counterproductive. But you know what I mean.
So people are always informed in the group.
Absolutely.
Know where your money's going, know why you're giving it. You're not just blindly collecting or throwing money out.
Absolutely, which is definitely the way that you think it should be, right? Yeah. It's just and I think that's what scares a lot of people a lot of times. It's like, I don't know what I should do. And it's like, well, just be honest, be transparent, and talk to people, and you'd be surprised at how much you can get done just with that. So, you know, if I even teach the kids when they're struggling in a problem, I always tell them, instead of trying to figure out the right answer, figure out what you don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, and then once you figure out what you don't understand, you're halfway there. And I say do the same thing with people, especially those of you who are building your communities from ground up. Be very transparent and honest about the things that you don't understand, so that way you give yourself an assignment of what to go understand. So you say, okay, well, I don't understand how to do this. Well, great. Now I have something to Google.
No,
you know,
I got something to research.
Got something to research. Awesome. Also, corporate sponsorships are another good place to look at. And again, that's going to be dependent on what you're trying to do with your community. I cannot stress that enough. But if you think about that, like one of the corporate partnerships that we're looking at, I can't remember if it was Home Depot or Lowe's, but it's one of them. And I don't want to say the wrong one, but it's one of them, with our Help and Hope program that we mentioned last week. Because a part of that program is Help and Hope boxes, where we basically want to take these appliance-sized boxes and be able to fill them with things for people who are just going through and just need a little help and need a little hope. But that will be that could be a corporate sponsorship, in the sense that corporation says we'll sponsor the boxes. But there's all types of corporate sponsorships you can get. There was a time before when I was pastoring that we got a corporate sponsorship from Chick-fil-A. Now, I don't know if Chick-fil-A is going to support any of your skeptical things, but anything that you're doing, I think as long as you're not obviously saying, hey, we're trying to make America atheist, then, if which you can do that. I'm not saying don't do that. That is a part of what we're doing. But when you're going for support for certain things, I think the beautiful thing is because we are non-theist in that sense, or those of us who are non-theist, or even for those of us who are theists, that the agenda here isn't to move people toward theism, that you will have a lot of projects and programs that don't have those biases there. So for example, if you just said, I just wanted to do something, you want to do a summer camp for the kids. It's not that you're teaching them how to be atheists. Maybe you're doing a science and math summer camp. Right. There are not many corporate companies that are going to be like, oh, no, that sounds like atheism, so I don't want to support that, right? So, and again, so you'd be surprised at once you start talking with your kind of core group or catalyst group, you'd be surprised about how many ideas you can come up with that will end up making you realize, oh, there are probably corporations that have been waiting for communities to do things like this.
And that's why it's good to know your initiative and your mission, because then you can figure out who aligns with this, what corporate companies would support this. So you know who to go to, and you're not just wasting time reaching out to groups that may not even support.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing to just kind of square down from the beginning. And that was a great call out. Is know who would need this, know who aligns with this, know who would want this. One of the biggest reasons we've never or we haven't jumped out so far as doing anything local, because I don't know if anybody locally, well, I know some, and we do work with those, but beyond that, there's not many locally who would really value this. Again, we live in Alabama, and we live in the part of Alabama that's right next to northern Florida, so it's just like yikes, just hooey, which that is some stuff I do want to get into later here too. Baby, you want to hit the community engagement and volunteerism part?
Yeah. So having how do we get people engaged? How do we get people involved? So moving from engagement or attraction to getting involved. That's where volunteerism comes in. This reduces operational costs and enhances member investment in the community. I feel like when people actually get involved in something and what they really want to do or what they really want to see happen, they're more invested, right?
Yeah.
Not just financially, but maybe with their resources, maybe with their connections, just different things of that nature. So people that you're able to get to volunteer, who are willing to sign up, invest their time in, is big. Again, that reduces overhead costs. Right?
Absolutely. And let's just be 100% clear, unless you have a rich Uncle Daddy somewhere, if building community is a passion for you, and you're planning to start, launch a community, you are a volunteer.
That's true. When you start,
yeah, like right now we're volunteers. This is you will be a volunteer, which is almost a proof of your passion. Which I do want to kind of hit this, because this does happen in churches, because especially more so for church planners. For church planners, you start a church, you're a volunteer. Eventually things go well, you can take a salary. But then you develop this mindset that now anybody who works for this church or this organization has to volunteer before ever being considered for pay. And it's that thing that I call sociologically my turnism. Well, no, if I had to do this, you got to do this, which is very dangerous. If your community does grow to the place where you can pay people equitably, please do so. That is highly, in my opinion, unethical, especially if you're don't be asking nobody to voluntarily be something that really requires professional attention, unless it's in the beginning and you don't have the budget for that. Now, there should be no shame in asking people to volunteer when you don't have a budget. And there should be some roles that should always be kind of designated to volunteer. But I've seen a lot of churches take advantage of that, and I'd encourage you not to do that. If you do have room for an equitable payroll, please do that. Now, I know none of you will have that at the beginning. In the beginning, everybody will be volunteers, and that will be beautiful. But please do not get so caught up in the beauty of the beginning that as you begin to grow, you start forcing those false growth pains on others. Again, which I just see people do. So I know none of us anywhere near those points. Do you have to be wrestling with that issue? But that's just a little foresight for you.
And that's good foresight.
Yeah.
And to keep the volunteers and members engaged, there are different ways you can do that. One big way is supporting initiatives that are led by your proposed and led by your community members or those who volunteer, so it can foster ownership and involvement. You have examples, some like that, like the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, the Boys and Girls Club is an example. It's an alternative.
It's an alternative.
Yeah. So yeah, basically member-led initiatives, and that is, things that your members want to do. The members of your community, not like your members, like you own them. You should probably separate yourself from that type of ideology. But the members that are your community, they can do different types of initiatives that your community is able to support. And when you think about things like the Boys and Girls Clubs, if they're not operating the way you'd like to operate, or you don't have something like that, yay, Scotland's in the house, or you don't have something like that, then your community can look at, your members might be passionate about starting stuff like that. And actually, you know what I think I meant to put there? Boys and Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
But
yeah.
Even within that, they have their own initiatives that they come in and propose for those who participate within that group as well.
Yeah.
So I think it falls on every level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, the reason I was thinking Boys and Girl Scouts alternatives is because there are a lot of children out there who are discriminated against in those organizations. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that there are a lot of, and those organizations are, what they do as far as their activity is highly beneficial. Being able to take kids on trips and different things. And even the Girl Scouts are amazing at teaching girls entrepreneurship and business and things of that nature. But the problem is these organizations are so infused with Christian values that they've become, in many cases, and I won't say all cases, but in a lot of cases, they've become highly toxic to children, who don't identify with those Christian values. And so secular community and secular community groups are a great way to start creating networks that can create alternatives for children who are still interested in those type of things, but creating environments that are actually safe for those kids.
And I see there's a lot of groups of different things that actually infuse, especially on the Christian side, from where we grew up, and as an adult, we even see it in the workplace. So it's kind of hard to combat that when you don't have other alternatives.
When you don't have alternatives. Absolutely. And, and this is why I say it's bigger than just trying to create a secular community that feels somewhat like church. The church structure is no different than the structure of a small town or a municipality at the end of the day. This is about organizing on purpose and bringing meaning to our organizing. We can generate countless solutions for our communities and collaborate to iterate on those possibilities. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. I've seen a lot of it. My church at one point, when I used to be a pastor, we did partner with the Boy Scouts for a short period of time. But after I kind of noticed a few things, and it wasn't nothing incredibly controversial. It was just things where I'm a little more progressive, and I didn't see that, and I didn't want to align myself with that. And I've always kind of been clear on that, even when I was knee deep in superstition, and I still was knee deep in superstition.
And that's a good point, a good word to use, progressive, right?
Yeah.
So they may have things in place for you to do, but it's a lot of it has to deal with the traditional values. For some reason, there's a lot of organizations out there, a lot of people who don't want to progress.
Yeah.
Progression is like the enemy.
Yeah, it is.
No, stick to the old way.
I know that's one of the things I started realizing is that much of my church experience, pastors were very anti-intellectual. So even if you're ever perusing through some of my comments, I'll mention the all things theology guy again. Um, the people that follow him, that their whole mindset is you were taught wrong. You were taught wrong. That's not how critical thinking works. Critical thinking doesn't go by what it was taught. Critical thinking goes by what it understands, which is why I don't debate people who were taught something. And I get this from one of my mentors, a controversial figure, but it's deceased, John Henrik Clark. He said I don't debate. He says I only debate with equals. All others I teach. And even then I don't teach anybody who didn't sign up for my class. I'm very very clear on that because anyway. So, but yes. And ultimately, and it's all about building community, right? And we'll talk a little bit. You will hear me say this a lot: innovative community ecosystems. So community is the quick way of saying it, but actually, what I'm interested in, and this is why I share the type of level of detail of information that I do, is I'm interested in people building innovative community ecosystems, right? So not just a community. The enemy has a hold of us, right? Not just community, but an ecosystem where everybody's able to thrive. It is a cuss word to a lot of conservatives. It's very frightening. Which is why innovation is lacking in a lot of communities. And I want to, as people are coming together, I want to see great things come from that. I don't want it just to be we came together and we're all grieving about how bad life is. I want people to come together and to be able to create ecosystems that just give birth to innovation and that you actually do change people's lives. At the end of the day, that is what I want to do. I want to help people live better, more fulfilled lives. And that's why I left the pulpit. I left the pulpit because I feel like I was passionate about something that I wasn't helping people become. I was telling people, you're going to live your best life when you make Jesus your Lord and Savior. And, now I'm like, no, critically thinking, that's not how anybody gets their best life, unless Jesus is the Queen of England. I don't see how this gets you there, And as far as I know, he kind of died broke and pitiful. So I don't know how marrying him, I don't know who would be happy if you brought Jesus home as your husband. This like, yikes. But the point is building communities that actually make life enjoyable for people and position people to take advantage of the opportunities that are around them, to maximize those opportunities and to make it easier for people to get access to resources. And that's like, at the end of the day, okay, I'm sorry, this is my rabbit trail. At the end of the day, that's what community is about. It's about bringing people together so that everybody can have access. There's nothing I can do as an individual that can make that happen. There's nothing I can do as an individual that can help the people in my city be more comfortable in asking hard questions. There's nothing I can do as an individual to help people in my community when they're falling down on hard times. As an individual, the only thing I can do without causing harm to myself is to pray for you, give you a nice word, give you some encouragement, some advice, but as a community, we can stretch our help so much further, which we did talk about a little bit last week, but I'm sorry, I had to get there. So
that made me think when we used to talk about wealthy people, and there's no self-made millionaires or self-made billionaires. But when you see the documentaries or you see the articles, you'll sometimes see self-made such and such.
So yeah, ain't no.
When you realize that they had to have a team, they had to have, in a sense, community.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Yeah, that to me, that's the vision. We need to help point people towards their potential, their purpose, their capacity. Yes, twin vibes.
Yes.
We need, yes, and that's doing that as one person is difficult. It's easier to help each other as a community than it is as an individual. And so at the end of the day, and that's, believe it or not, That's what drives a lot of the urban churches. That's what drives them. That's why some of them continue to go to their churches. Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh Lord. But yeah, God lead us is good. Growing and effective local secular communities can become a groundswell of support for existing valuable national and global secular organizations. So, for example, we have the Freedom from Religion Foundation. We have Recovery from Religion, and I'm just going to point out one of my favorite ones, Black Nonbelievers. And these are all national and global organizations. There's plenty of more. I'm not picking favorites. I mean, Black Nonbelievers is one of my favorites, but it's because I'm Black. I'm not saying they're better than anybody else. I'm just saying I like them because I'm Black. And as all of my allies out there know, Black people are afraid to be atheists. Okay, they are terrified that oh my goodness, if I say the A word, my grandma's gonna roll over in her grave and get out of it and come get my ass. You understand? So, but you have all of these organizations, right? And those are just three that I mentioned globally. Those are global and national organizations. Imagine how much they would benefit if there were more local communities that existed for whatever purpose. Listen, okay. All right, let me show you. Let me show you how this happens. So y'all know our vision is kind of the bridge. And so if we had bridge affiliated communities all over, let's just say the Southeast, right? That's where we are. Which I don't want to do that. Forget that. All over the world. Because we have people watching from Scotland, from Malaysia, and I don't want to leave you out by any means necessary. Right. It's very rare. Right. Absolutely. And so, and thank you for saying that, because that's the reason I kind of went on that deductive trail, is to make it clear to people that I'm not saying it's my favorite just because they're Black. It's not because they're Black. It's because I'm Black. And so in that sense, I feel like I have a responsibility to help other Black people come out, and Black Nonbelievers has been doing the work long before I have. And as you can see, my mission is like people in general. Black Nonbelievers has made their mission Black people. I honor that mission. And so one of the beautiful things is what we're doing as we're building community. If we have communities, if we're helping communities launch all over the globe, all of those communities that have Black people that are part of those communities get to learn about Black Nonbelievers. That's the power of building local community. If you're building local communities and we have local communities all over, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be all over the globe. Even if it's just in 15 places, if you have local community, you have more places when people join your community who have problems that you can't necessarily solve. You can connect them to those greater resources, and you like that. You can make information about these organizations and how they help regularly available and accessible to community members and visitors. When people visit your community campus, you can have Freedom from Religion, Recovering from Religion, and Black Nonbelievers, and all of the other secular groups that are out there. You can have a repository of that information that people can get access to. Yes, we need it everywhere. You can make space available for those organizations, local groups, and activities, thereby increasing types of support that can be offered to your community members and visitors. For example, Recovering from Religion has meetup groups. They have groups were like therapy groups, secular therapy, and they do have the Secular Therapy Project. If we have more local communities that are regularly meeting, that do have space, then all of a sudden you can say, hey, we'd be more than happy to sponsor one of your spaces in our space. Yeah. Or if there's nobody here doing that, we'd be more than happy to launch one of your groups here so that you have access to resources. And that's the goal. That's the power of local community. Not only will you get the local community of get the resources and support of the people who are part of that local community, but then you get the ability to plug into our national resource systems, which then allows to strengthen your reach into the community. So then when you may not have anybody on your team who is qualified to help somebody with religious trauma, but then you can say, that doesn't matter. We have partners who can handle that. And so then you can offer that as a resource through your community.
That's why connection is important.
Absolutely.
Right? being able to point someone in the right direction or say, oh, I have a reference here. That's when we're all connected. But and that's the thing, that's what we're working towards. Learning what's out there, see what's available internationally, locally. Because if we don't know where to send people to.
We don't know where to send people to. That's right. And so and that's, man, that's just great, because again, the more local communities we have, the more visibility we have, and the thing is, I think one of the mindsets we get stuck in is maybe it should be one ring to rule them all, and I don't think we need that. I think what, and this is just me personally, you may disagree, and I'd love to talk through it. But I think we need decentralized, semi-autonomous organizations. I think we need stuff sprouting up everywhere. I think it needs to be somewhat competitive, not in the sense that those people are competing against each other, but in the sense that people who are looking for those type of spaces have options. And I think, and the only reason I think that, because I writing a thesis on this thing called the social influence theory. I think that's how things grow fast. Things grow fast, things move fast, things iterate fast, and things innovate fast when they are kind of decentralized. And so, you start a church, you start a church, you start a church, you start, it's almost like that. Everybody starts something. Let's all be experimenting on this at the same time, and then sharing what we're learning through the process with each other. And that was a little bit of a rabbit trail, because I do have a third point about how local communities can help to support those larger national and global communities. Is that global resource chambers, I guess is what I want to call them, like Freedom from Religion or the Recovering from Religious Foundation or Black Nonbelievers, is that then the more local communities you have that are actually cooperative communities, those communities could agree to pledge a small percentage of their revenue, the community together, not the individuals, but whatever the community brings in monthly. They can say, we're going to pledge 1% or 2% to Freedom from Religion, or we're going to, or recovering from religion. So you have those type of options and opportunities, which is another reason that I think we do not need to sleep on building local communities. This way you can make critical thinking, skeptical thinking, atheism, whatever, more normalized, more visible, more popularized by giving people more options to participate. And then by making sure that we have ways to undergird those larger systems. And then that even, watch this, that allows that to even feed back into supporting the local communities. Because then when people are calling, recovering from religion and saying, hey, I'm struggling and I don't know how I'm going to make it and nobody's around me, those people on the phone can say, hey, where are you? You're in Scotland. Okay, well, guess what? I have good news. Susan just started a community over there that you can be a part of. This is all about organizing. You want to jump in there, babe?
Yeah, I was going to say, soon we can have our own directory.
Absolutely, yes.
411.
It's the network. Yeah. I wish we still had the images from the first week that we did. It's about, the reason we do this is finding all the dots, right? And so finding all the dots, finding where everybody is. But that next step is then trying to get those dots working together, so then we can connect the dots. And the more dots we got connected, then the larger of a network we have. And then that puts you in a place where you can almost be like the education system tried to be, but no child left behind. Yeah. If we're really concerned, about building a healthy community for people who are deconverting, deconstruction, or people, I know that's right, or people who have never been those things but just want safe space for community, if we're passionate about that, then we have to be passionate about that everywhere, right? Or at least that's my view. Now, everybody doesn't have to take on my burden. I'm not mad at anybody for not being passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. But, a lot of people are passionate about many things. I'm passionate about the whole thing. Okay. So for me, because I'm passionate about this, I'm passionate about this happening everywhere. So we'd want to be, every time we're meeting, talking, and doing stuff like this, we want to find out where people are. And every time we notice we have more people there, we want to be making sure we're investing support there so that a community can be built there. As a matter of fact, like the kind of approach I've taken is the place that we may move to the place that we may build our first one at. I'm gonna have to do this thing with my whatchamacallit. The place that we may build our first one at may not be where we live. It may be because we're so serious about this. We're going to pay attention to you guys. We're going to see where you all are. In the first place that we see that there's a good group there, then we'll focus local work on there. I got to get my laptop back up, so I'm gonna switch over here.
Yeah, so that leads us going into talking about marketing and outreach. So once you have engagement, thinking about developing volunteers, how will you essentially market or outreach to that community as well? If you and your core team are fully committed that the community you're wanting to build is valuable and necessary, be the midget on the mountain. I like that. Be the little short person on the mountain. People can't benefit from the community you provide if they don't know your community exists. All right. So how are you going to be visible? How are you going to be found? Right. And that's part of having a good market team, if you can eventually, right? Having people contribute there. But if you can make yourself visible, make yourself accessible to everyone, then you can really get people active. So a lot of what we're using now, you see us on social media. You can have community partnerships, use public relations, right? Use the tools that you have to get out there and make it known of what you want to do. And so I guess the easiest route right now is a lot of social media platforms you don't necessarily have to pay for, right?
Oh yeah.
So that if you're not starting with funding or different ways, you can start where you are, basically.
Well, that's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice there. You gotta start where you are.
Either way.
Well, here's the thing: people who are not willing to start where they are never going to get started. If you're waiting for something else to happen to be a sign, then I don't know what to help. If you say when I get this a much money, then I'll start. Then you're not going to start. Starting is where you are. Starting is always where you are. If you ever ran a trail, a hike trail, or you've ever been a mall, there's oftentimes there's a directory. The start is always where you are. What's up, homie? Oh snap! Like now, I'm probably about to fanboy because this is like one of my favorite people on YouTube, and it's probably sad because I be having my kids watching Dage stuff too, and they be cracking up. Cracking up. But yeah, if you believe that what you're doing is valuable, if you think that the community is going to benefit for what you're trying to do in free thought and secular community, be the midget on the mountain, man. Be loud, be proud, be bold, be clear. Don't hide. If you're actually trying to build a community that you want people to be able to be free in, then you need to let them know that it exists, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, otherwise they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Going to come and support.
All right, let's talk about long-term sustainability. Which this is easy. This is like, because we hit this last week, leadership. And leadership is always such a strong word. And maybe we as humans will evolve a better word as we continue to go. But focus on training and developing future community leaders. That needs to be a focus from the onslaught. From the very beginning. To ensure long-term sustainability. And literally, again, my biggest thing is just giving you something to think about. What does leadership look like for you? Don't let that be defined by anybody else. Like literally sit down with the people that you're thinking about building community with and say, like, what does leadership look like for us? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are decisions made? Who's going to be held accountable for bad decisions? That's one of the good ways I like to ask that.
Yeah.
Because that's when you can really find out who's willing to be the leader or not. Are you willing to be responsible if this goes wrong?
Right.
And then basically to kind of demystify it, who's doing what and why. I think what like probably one of the things that killed a lot of churches is you got a bunch of people doing things for no damn reason. No dummy. So it's like if you're going to be separated from superstition, if you're going to be like, I'm not on that side anymore, and you're like, I'm going to build something from community, then just keep critical thinking all the way through. That's lit. Oh my! I think we could have wrapped up this whole series in this. Just like literally approach this thing from a critical standpoint. Let's see here, and then what I like, and I just found out there's a word for this. Thank you. You know, we try. I just found out there's a word for this. This is pretty much the way I've ran almost everything I do, but it's called sociocracy. I know that's not the way it sounds.
Sociocracy.
There it goes. Sociocracy. Why did I struggle so hard with that? God damn. Sociocracy, which means rule by relationships. And that's, again, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm giving you some shit to think about. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it always comes back to where we start. Absolutely. I like sociocracy. I did not know there was a word for it. I've always called it just like councils of councils, but it's actually called circles of teams. And it's just a dynamic governance system where you just build circles, you know. And let me actually give you an example of that. So I know we throw a little bit in here about the bridge, but I don't throw a lot because I don't want you to think that we are soliciting. Not yet anyway. That time will come.
And you'll know.
And you'll know. But this is not, hey, everybody come help us build the bridge. This is more so, hey, the bridge is something we're wanting to do, and we know other people are also passionate about secular community. So let's just have this conversation publicly so other people who are trying may get some ideas. And then we can actually flesh out some of our own ideas a little bit more. And so the three circles that I see the bridge kind of starting with, the three circles of teams are catalyst, core, and committed. And so the catalyst team is really just the people who are responsible for the whole thing. That's your launch team. If you and a few people are getting together and saying, hey, we need some local community in our area. We need a safe place for people who are deconverting, for people who are questioning, for people who are deconstructing, for people who are beyond that, but just want a safe place to be around other people without having to pretend to believe in Santa Claus or some shit like that. You know, that's a catalyst team. That means this is a team that is going to launch something. We're going to work together. Need a Benny Hinn white suit, clean with it, right? Oh, that's going to be for the atheist revival services.
Yeah.
And maybe I can get Kyle Butler and Brady Goodwin.
And what's that thing
Oh.
Bishop Long always wore? You say.
Oh, dang, I forgot what that thing was called. I don't know.
Shamir.
Shamir, that's what that's called. Yeah. But we need to get with Brady, Kyle Butler, Dade, and me, and we need to go out and just go ham. But see now, dang it, now it got me thinking. God dang it. Damn it.
Rabbit Trail.
Oh yeah, but yeah, your catalyst team. That's you and whoever's gonna help launch it. Like for those of you who are launching it. Now I know everybody's watching this is like, no, I'm not launching a community. Maybe you just want to be a part of a community. This stuff is for you too. But for those of you who are gonna launch it, and that's the reason why I call that a catalyst team, because you're gonna have to be the catalyst. You're gonna have to make it work. Like you know. You're not the superstitious type, so there's no praying to get things started, okay? There's no just we're gonna have a bunch of prayer services and people are gonna show up. That's not how shit works in real life.
Because that is how if there's a circumstance or something that's happening in the church, at least the churches I've been to, there is a separate service. Come meet on Monday. We're gonna have a good prayer service to get this building paid. Or it's quite funny how that's the solution.
Yeah, the solution is always bad math. That was the solution in church. Bad math. You need more money. Let's pray. What? Yeah. And it's sad because I stopped being a believer in 2014. I didn't break away from certain superstitions that were, restricting me financially until 2017. And it was like, man, Darante, why don't you have a lot of money? Because no, not a lot of money, because I don't have a lot of money now. Like, really, I don't. But it's like, why don't you have enough money to survive? And it's like, well, literally, you never tried to make enough money to survive. And I'd never looked at that before. And I was like, damn. And I'm not saying that affects all believers that way, but I know I was messed up.
It's like, it's on me. Okay. Oh yeah, it's on me. So
Yep.
I can do it.
Yep.
Wait, let me find a way to do it and get it done.
And that's just like literally because and I'll be very honest. We were living, man, right? How did it? 10 years I was in the closet, Maya. 10 years because my whole life has been church. My whole network was church. All of my friends were pastors. And so for 10 years, I just kind of, and then after a while, I was like, well, it's not even that it's like fire shut up in my bones and I got to say something. It's also like I see these beliefs and a lot of things to be very harmful and very damaging. And so I am so glad to be on this side for sure. Like, yay.
And that's where the catalyst becomes important, right?
Yes.
Because the like-mindedness carries over. Over here too, yeah.
And that actually is a good point because out of all of your teams that you want to put together, your catalyst team does need to be the most like-minded. Like-mindedness doesn't matter as much with your other teams. So let's say if you're going to do music with your community, like we do want to do music at our community. Like my wife's, she's been in dance her whole life. I've been a performer my whole life with singing and stuff. So, we want to do the music and stuff. Dang, what was I about to say? I literally lost that. It was something.
You saying that catalyst definitely need to be
the people who are singing together, they ain't all gotta be like-minded. They don't all have to be interested in astrophysics or anything like that. Yeah. It does take a long time from us. I hate that it took me so long, and I think that's why I've hit things so hard because I'm like, I want to make up for all of that lost time, and I want to find anybody out there who's like me, who's afraid that they're going to jeopardize their livelihood or their lives by stepping out. I want to make sure they have options, and of course they do. There's the Energy Project and things of that nature, but I do want people to understand that there are certain people that those things don't necessarily appeal to, which is why I say I think, again, this is just me, I think one of our biggest advantage points will be competitiveness in the sense that people have more options. Man, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad. Well, it feels good to be a part of a community that really doesn't care about who I am,
Yeah.
Like, and I know that sounds weird, but like, no, when my whole life being a part of church community, it's like every community, what do you believe? Mm-hmm. And that determines how well you're accepted. Do you believe the Trinity or the Triune God or the Triunitarian? Yeah. And I'm like, how did you get the Megazord God? Like, this is really weird to me.
The Power Ranger God, put them.
Yep.
One here.
Do you believe? Do you smoke? Do you drink? And it's just like, it's so refreshing to be around people where nobody's like, oh, well, if you cuss, it's gonna offend me. My ears are gonna bleed or something like that.
Did you ever tell them that story about smoking cigarettes and they're like, oh, you got to move off the church grounds? You ever had that story? You can't do this on church property.
Okay. And I promise you, y'all are not ready for this story. I promise you. So when I was pastoring, I had a young man that was coming to my church, and he just started coming every Sunday, and he'd wear a 3-piece suit, and he had a briefcase with him every time. And he'd open up the briefcase and pull his Bible out. And he was that's my oldest son in the background. I have no clue where he's about to go, but he looks dressed up and everything. Where you headed to? You can talk. Huh? Oh, yeah, it's about that time. Oh, y'all. 3. You taking Nate with you? Okay, awesome. Yeah, our kids have a concert at 3, so we'll be getting off a little early. But yeah, so he was coming to my church every week, 3-piece suit, briefcase. He'd sit on the front row. Preach, Pastor. Pastor, you're amazing. My church was kind of the hood church, and we were like having church out of a hotel at this time. And so a lot of people, whoa, I did not know that. Dang, man. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to talk.
Kitchens. Yeah.
So my church was in a hotel at this time, and we were kind of like the hood church. And so people at my church would smoke. They'd smoke cigarettes. I smoked for sure. So they'd smoke, and they'd just be smoking before service out in a little courtyard or something. And he's like, Pastor, they're out there smoking on the church property. They shouldn't be doing that. And I said, sir, this is a hotel. This is not holy ground. I don't know how this, but I promise you, worse things happen here than people smoking cigarettes. And it wasn't even like a 5-star hotel or nothing like that. I would describe the hotel, but I believe I'm not sensitive enough to do that, so I won't. But it wasn't a great place. But he was just like very much like, hey, they can't be around here. Well, his wife was she was like the secretary of the church. She did the accounting and stuff like that. And then interestingly enough, she called us one day and said, hey, can you come by the house? I need to check out something. So we go by the house or the apartment, and all of her furniture was gone. And I'm like, where's the furniture? What happened? He sold it all, Pastor. Who sold it all? My husband. He sold it all for what? For crack. He sold it for crack. The guy who was telling people they shouldn't be smoking cigarettes at the church is a crackhead. I was like, oh my goodness. I had never been got before, but I was got. Like I think me and a few people of the church, like, oh, he had us. He had all of us confused. Like, but you know, and I don't say that to make light of what he was struggling with. My mother was a crack addict as well. It is a real struggle, you know. But dang, he had got me. He had got me for sure.
And that ties into magical words or magical properties or
like
this or that. It's
because people, if you know me, I don't believe in magical words, so I don't believe in curse words, and I don't believe in blessed words. You know, I don't believe if I say thank you, you have to say you're welcome. You'd be surprised how many people in my community, if they hold the door for you, you don't say thank you. They feel like you just took something from them. My sister is one of those people. Like, she will literally fight you if you don't say thank you after holding the door. And that's because that's kind of what magical thinking does for people. You either did this to be nice or you did this for some type of attention. And I don't advocate doing anything for attention. It's not healthy. Man, it is. It's superstitious nonsense. It's just like, what? I'll pass. So yeah, your catalyst team are the people who are helping you get stuff done. That's the launch folk. They need to be like-minded. If you have people singing together, they don't necessarily have to be like-minded.
You wouldn't be drinking. Yes, a lot of people think that way.
But my early years, I definitely thought that. Like, when I first got started, you would have hated me. And again, my wife, like, she didn't want to date me in the beginning because she thought I was an old man. She thought I was, just like, oh, he's staunch about everything. Because, words do have power. That's right. Absolutely. Just not no supernatural power. You couldn't, if you cussed, you couldn't be a part of what I was doing. If you smoked, you couldn't be part of what I was doing. If you wrote love letters, at one point, if you watched anime, you couldn't be a part of what I was doing, because like Pokemon or whatever, all that stuff was bad. Even though I was watching Dragon Ball Z, but that was, and Dragon Ball Z had a character in it called the Devil, but I was still gonna make excuses for it because I liked it. And ultimately, that's what you find out about Christians.
Yeah, that's what happens.
We make excuses for the things we like.
The things we take pleasure in.
The things, yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, I was a jerk, man. Like y'all would not wanted to meet me. Like just recently, I was hanging out with a guy who used to play the piano for me, play the keyboard for me at my church. He was a minister of music or whatnot, and I used to like kind of get on to him about, okay, watch this. I used to get on to him about smoking weed and getting high before coming to church. It was it was the hood church. And I recently apologized to him for this because one time he came to the church and he had weed on him. I made him throw it in the trash.
Oh, he paid money for it.
And oh man, I felt so bad after thinking about it years later. I was like, dang, we could have smoked that together. But anyway, but I apologized to him for that recently. I'm like, for me even feeling like I don't understand, like now thinking about it. Yep.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This crazy. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. But I now look at, I'm like, what type of jackass was I for thinking that I had the right to control somebody else's autonomy? Yeah. Like what you smoke don't make me poop. You know what I'm saying? Throw it in the trash. Like, yes, where are my pearls? Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was I was not a good person back then. Even at the place where we're just thinking that I should have the right to tell people what they should enjoy and what they shouldn't enjoy. and I'm using this to measure your sincerity, to measure your commitment. And when the thing that I pay you to do is to play the piano, I don't pay you to be sober. I don't pay you not to smoke weed. I don't pay you to eat what I eat or do what I do. And so I apologized to him for it. But when I did, he said, "Oh, you didn't have to apologize. I just went and got it back out later on."
No.
You know, hey, Javonda, he ain't rap type.
He said, "I went and got it."
He said, "Oh, yeah, I went and got that." And so we're cool today. But that is one thing that I did. A lot of the people that were on my teams when I was a pastor, when I finally came out of the closet as an atheist, which was 10 years later after leaving pastoring, I did go back to them and apologize to them for the jerk that I was, and and just like because I'd love to feel like, because I am a responsibility type of guy, so I am more so like, hey, you're a grown man, you can deal with it. But at the same time, I also want to take responsibility for what I did as well, and just be like, I hope I didn't cause too much harm there. And I'm sure that brought a lot of shame. Yeah. Oh yeah. Weed smokers are cool, man. Like, yes. This is why y'all love me so much. Just hint, hint. Hint, hint. These lips used to be pink. Now let me stop. Okay. Dang it, where was I at? All right. So y'all done took me on so many rabbit trails.
So we're talking about callous, core, committed. And you'll notice with my husband, he loves alliteration. So a lot of things he points. His points are going to be all C's or all M's, and it's great.
And it's arbitrary as fuck. I just do it because it helps people remember. So like I may put 5 things that you need to remember. I don't mean that there's exactly 5 things. I don't know if these words even fit properly. I just use these words because it helps people remember. Yes, absolutely. I love it. So Catalyst teams, they're the lunch folk. Man. Oh, I love it. Yes. Woo. I'm about to get amped. Catalyst teams, launch teams, core teams are teams to operate. All right. So for the bridge focus, I'll give you what our teams are. For a local thing, it's a campus team, an arts team, a learning team, a missions team, a training team, a member services team, and a research team. And I can give you all the reasons why I have those. Campus team is basically like a team on a college university. If you have a campus, you want a campus team. Yeah. And that's just to make sure that everybody can get around the campus. That's really big. To me, it's big. And it's not just about people navigating the campus. It's about creating campus activity. Dade is one of the coolest people on the internet right now. Again, I told y'all I was going to fanboy. Dade is one of the coolest people on the internet right now. Like, dude has me cracking up. Yes. The first video I saw of Dade, and it's his video, so I could say it. First video I saw of Dade, because I didn't know, like I'm just I'm just now getting out here in the community, and he's sitting down at a table with the grinder, with the leaf open, and I'm just like, oh, this is a friend of my mind. Look at here. Oh, hallelujah.
See, now you're going to do with 2 or 3 again.
With 2 or 3 again. Hallelujah. Shut your mouth and keep on talking. Oh, man. This is getting me. This is getting me. Okay. So, yeah. So, all of those teams, and that part is not necessarily important. Man, I literally, man, and it's just the straight up truth, man. I love it. I try to shout out everybody I can, man. Oh, and today, speaking of which, today is Bad Science Sunday. Isn't it Bad Science Sunday? So for those of you who are going to hang out later on, Bad Science Sunday with the lovely Maya Atkinson, the irreverent Maya Atkinson, their shows have me cracking up. And that's again, going back to something I've kind of been reiterating throughout this whole point. The idea is, please don't become like church folk and get mad when things are springing up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We should be excited to see new things popping up all over. The more, the merrier. Again, just from a decentralization perspective, I think that's healthier. Yeah. The moment we start creating personalities that are like the big 3, the big 4, and the big 5 in atheism, we set ourselves up for a lot of trouble. Ooh, I am definitely up for the challenge. I am what you call a parent on purpose. I have 4 kids. They are my heart, my soul. They are part of the reason I deconverted. They are part of the reason I deconstructed. I did not want my kids growing up with the delusion that I grew up with. Yes, please, Maya, drop that link for Bad Science Sunday if it's there. And that sounded so forceful. And as a man trying to recognize how things come off from men, especially as one with a deep voice, I try to be mindful of that. So y'all let me know if I ever sound a little too forceful. You know, we could be the new horse. You know it now. What'd you say, baby? Would you put it in there? Awesome. I love it. Yes. Maya, that was the major thing for me is realizing like I'm not about to let my kids be like that. Yes, we could be the new horsemen. I am here for every bit of it. Oh man, God.
A campus team. If you have a location,
yeah,
you should be
absolutely. Yeah, if you have a location, have a campus team. I like arts, as we've said, so we plan on having an arts team. We plan on making arts like Cinco de Mayo is today. Happy Cinco de Mayo. No, Feliz Cinco de Mayo. ¿Cuál es tu número de teléfono? Yo necesito ir al baño muy mal. Huh?
Oh, bueno.
Bueno. You know, that's the line I say all the time, though. Like, if you get me in a real conversation, I'll be like, hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, can you write that down so I can see how you said that?
Hablas español un poco.
Un poco.
Sí.
Muy un poco. Dang it. But yeah, arts team. So, like, some of the things we want to do, because I'm not gonna lie, I miss the music from church. I just don't miss the words. I don't miss singing songs like I'm nothing without you.
Yeah.
I don't miss singing songs like I give myself away. I don't miss singing songs like if you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. Yeah. I don't miss songs about singing like, wash me in the blood of Jesus. I am not a vampire. I don't need any blood baths. I'm okay. Man, hey, I've heard that quite a few times. I have that. That is interesting. That is interesting. It is, man. Some of the things that I get nowadays are very interesting. So we want to do like dramatic pieces, music pieces, hip hop pieces, lyric pieces. Like music is a major part of who I am. I sing, I rap, I write, I dance, I do it all because I love the arts. Arts are amazing. I think they help people process. I think they help people get through hard times. I think they help uplift people. I think they motivate. I think music motivates people. It helps people feel like they can do anything.
Yeah.
And I think secular communities can. I don't think churches should be outdoing secular communities in music.
Right.
There's a lot of talented people in secular, just the arts, period. And so I would like to see a little bit more creativity in the space.
Absolutely.
Learning teams, let me see, missions teams. That's a big one. As you're building your community, you want a team that's focused on what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
If there's anything that your little community can create a project to solve in the greater community, like adopt a teacher, adopt the school snack room, provide a school snack room. There are so many. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say that reminded me of when growing up in church. I've always wondered why our groups would only choose jail for the younger children to get involved, like children and teens.
I like that though.
Yeah, it's like why would we choose that when there's so many things that we could be doing? Like
absolutely,
education is the issue. Why not help the teachers or helping those kids who don't have the resources so they won't get bullied?
Okay. See, I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna put the camera back on me. I'm glad you said that. Because think about it. Every Sunday, expect the churches I was a part of. Again, I was a part of the urban, seeker-friendly mega churches. Many of them a part of urban communities where those children are struggling in school, and you're getting them, 2 hours every Sunday and every Wednesday. And instead of using this time to help those children achieve academically, instead of using this time to help them understand real world concepts, you're going to use this time to teach them about your imaginary friend and why he should be their best friend too.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. This is horrible. And this particularly bothered me about Black churches in the South where we live right now, because we do have like a high dropout rate. We have people who are not, really doing anything, but it's because no one's even pointing them to that. So almost every thug I know loves the Lord with his whole heart. Every thug I know loves the Lord with his whole heart,
Yeah.
Man.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we do. We're in Central Time, so it's 1:30 for us. But man, do you know how mindful that is? Godly. Church folk will sit there and let you know, y'all stay here now.
Time can slip.
Time can slip. Time can slip. Time keeps on slipping.
No, see, y'all should be used to it now. The preacher said we on our way out, and it'd be another 30 minutes.
And then committed teams, and actually I'm gonna talk about that later because I actually do want to. Well, yeah, I do want to start wrapping up because I got some things I need to do. Yep, it's 1:30 here. What 1:34? Because we're in the Central. But when you're thinking about your structure for your community, consider things like your size, like how many of you are, because it will change. Like I have a lot of things written out. I don't expect to have all of those things from day one. It's just like a few people, Man, right? Like, yes. Like, what is time? Ooh. And of course, think about your community goal and your member preferences. The chosen structure should reflect the preferences and expectations of community members. This is, I think I've said this a few times, but I don't think it can be. I don't think it can be overstated. Don't feel like you have to make up all the decisions. You may need to make enough decisions to get started, but once you start getting people involved, if you want it to really be community, keep talking to people. And that's why I mentioned that sociocracy thing earlier. Just build circles of teams. Build teams. Each one of those teams within your community has autonomy to do a specific thing. Nobody should have a role, and no team should exist that doesn't have a goal or a specific task that is attached to. Yeah. And that's how you keep down stuff where people getting attached to titles and stuff, because that can happen. Yeah. And it's like, it's not the title that you get here. It's a responsibility. Are you gonna? I don't know why you're so happy that we're calling you this. Are you gonna do the position? Good work. And then of course, training and development, man. Like as you're pulling people together, train people. Like, and you say, well, what do I train them on? The things you need to do. Like, and that's why, like, I try to stay away from giving exact specifics because it's the variables are going to be different for everybody. Like I could tell you, hey, you need to train them on how to receive people warmly. But what if your community doesn't want to be received warmly? And like these are nuances that people don't think about. But after 20 years of ministry, 10 years of pastoring, I've seen these things. We would build our churches up to make sure everybody who came in got a hug. You'd be surprised how many people walk through them doors and say, I don't want nobody hugging me.
Yeah, don't want to hug.
Some people don't want to be received that way. Yeah. And you're not doing them any service by forcing what you want on them. Right. And so I think, more critically thinking communities can I think we can dang, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't know either, do you? You weren't even paying attention when I was there.
More critical communities need to be.
What they need to, well, that sentence will finish somewhere on its own. The next one is legal and ethical foundations, and we'll start wrapping up here. Choosing the right entity, how you want to go. You can do nonprofit, you can do for-profit, or you can do hybrid. And each one of those categories, gives its own benefits. And there's a lot of different branches in there. I do want to say this, right? Because what I find when it comes to communities, that's a win. That's a win. Look at there. That's how community works right there. That's how community works. When it comes to secular community, I find a lot when they're trying to get started and they're picking their legal structure, they struggle here. Yeah. And I want to give you a little secret. There is an easy way. It depends on how you feel about terms. Well, not even how you feel about terms, because it really just depends on how terms can be defined. But I'd say just I would say if you want the most tax breaks for your community organization as possible, just be a ministry, be a humanist ministry, be a humanist church, be a humanist religious organization. By the way, and I am writing this in my book. My book is The Case for Religion. I am doing an entire dissertation on why religion doesn't mean what I hear most people defining it as. Religion and superstition are two different things. You can be religious and not be superstitious. As a matter of fact, by the definition of religious, most Christians are not Christians, they're capitalists. Because, you know, religion is ultimately what you do habitually, is what you commit to doing on a regular. Most people are regularly capitalist and Christians on the side. Church is their side piece. I'm just saying. Now that, you know, which one do you do more? Do you go to work more? Or do you go to church more? You know, so which one do you do religiously? So, but that's a whole nother thing. But you have those options. You have it, and I don't see why you would fight an uphill battle if you don't have to. And so, and even in the humanism manifesto, humanism is defined as a religion. And so why not just do that? Because here's the thing, if that's the way you go, then the moment you've established your bylaws, your charter, your articles of incorporation, you don't even have to turn them in to anybody else. The moment you and your team have agreed that this is who we are, you are automatically 100% a 501(c) organization as designated by the IRS. In that case, you don't even have to get an IRS designation. It's already in the lettering on the IRS website. And anybody who has questions about that, please feel free to reach out to your boy, because that's something, again, I'm very passionate about. I think the church as it stands in America is one of the most powerful institutions. And I think it's time for humanists, atheists, and skeptical thinkers together, just people-centric people, to take advantage of that, to put hands back in the power of the people. Man. Hey, let's go. For real. All the way. God damn it. We're going to have to make some stuff happen. We're going to have to make it happen. But yeah, I am 100% cool. Let's get it done. But yeah, so that's an easy way. Now, I realize some people may not want to do that because, you know, you're like, well, I don't want to be a church. I don't, that's you. Like, I don't care. The word's just a word. Church, congregation, body. The word church comes from the word, Greek word ecclesia, which just literally meant assembly, right? So you're going to be an assembly and whatever type you want to be. But outside of that, you can choose anything. And again, that's for the United States. And you can choose a for-profit model. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Yeah. And there are benefits in that as well. There are benefits in that. Say no more. Say less. Say no more. Hey, I got to re-up next week, as a matter of, no, this week. Yeah. This week. Next week, I'll be out of town. Next week, I don't know if I said this in the announcements, I'll be in Palo Alto, California. This will be my first time being on the West Coast, period. Like, I've only been up and down the East Coast. So this is going to be beautiful. I'm getting to participate in a documentary, which I don't think I've done that before. Oh, man. Yes. Come on now. Yeah. It's part of who you are. Yep. Oh, man. I have so many thoughts right now. I have so many thoughts. And go ahead, babe. So
if you're in that area, the California area.
Oh yeah. If you're in, which I don't even know which area of California that is. That's how much I don't know about California. Oh yeah, it's in the Stanford area. I don't know if this is East California, West, South, North, but I'll be there, and I'll be there for I think about 3 days, shooting a documentary. And if you're in that area, please holler at your boy. For more reason than one. Oh my God, I'm going to be in California. California is a legal state.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm back. Legal compliance. All right. And that's another important thing too, which I know Mr. Difficult is going. This was his part, so he's going to want to come back and check on this.
Yeah, and that's important because when you're building community, each person may have a different. You know how you.
What? Hold up. Okay. I'm gonna let you finish that, but before you do, Taylor Swift had. No, I'm just playing. No. Dang. I used to go to Ohio like almost every year. It's like 2 or 3 times a year. I don't know which part of Ohio you were in, but I used to visit Cleveland and Columbus. And for Cleveland, I was affiliated with one of the mega churches that are there, which is called the Word Church. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but I spent quite a bit of time up there. Okay, babe, I'm sorry. You can go back.
No, I was just gonna say that's why it's important to have multiple people at the table, because different people have different expertise.
Yes.
So, and we need especially in the things that we do locally, internationally, we need legal people who have legal expertise and actually know what they're talking about. Because
Dayton,
compliance and everything, and there's different categories. So you need people who are if you're going to be nonprofit, you need a lawyer or people who have legal expertise in that arena, right?
Yep.
So
well, and I want to add to that, you need people like, think about Southern California.
Right.
It never rains in Southern.
Dayton.
Just walk in, man. I love it. Dang it, I was about to say something and it just slipped because
you need people, something with
people who can scale. You know, people can scale up. What you don't want to do, which the church does a lot, please, and this is an ethics thing, have qualifications for things that qualifications are needed for. You know, if your community is going to offer counseling, please have people in your community get qualified to counsel. If you are going to have someone on your team who's going to be responsible for some of the legal stuff, unless they're doing court of law stuff. Now, if they're doing that, they need to have a legal degree, obviously. But if they're not doing court of law stuff, I'm not saying they need to have a degree, but they need to be able to understand what they're working on. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up in trouble. Oh, poor fella. He thinks collars are religious. That's interesting. No, sir. Those are called clergy collars. They're not a part of the shirt. You buy those for shirts that do not have collars, and then you put them into those shirts. This is just a collared shirt from Temu. Can't get as unreligious as that, sir. So no. But anyway, you know, every now and then you have to speak to the children, but you know, it is what it is. All right. So what was I saying from there?
We were talking about
please don't, if you can at all cost, do your best not to have people who are unqualified doing stuff that you really need qualified people doing. If you're going to offer some type of counseling services, make sure you can kind of get some people on your team who are qualified to do those. Otherwise, a lot of the damage that happened in the church happened because people thought they were dealing with qualified people. You know, and then one of the things that I let people know, and again, this is the main reason that I didn't address the all theology thing, is because one of the reasons I left church is because I realized that 90% of pastors in the Black church were D-level students. And I'm like, I've been sitting here this whole time thinking something was wrong with me for being able to understand the world, and then I've been suppressing my intellect. And so I'm not doing that again. But yeah, please, especially for things that are really people impacting, man. Like, oh my goodness, like I know churches with nurses guilds and not nobody on there is a nurse. Don't do that. There's a documentary on HBO where this well-meaning young girl went over to Africa and she was going to save the Africans with her medical help and did not have the first bit of medical training. You know, and that is one of the dangers of superstition, is that you believe you don't need to be qualified. As long as you got the Holy Ghost, you have an unction from the Holy One who is speaking through you and revealing things to you that you did not know. God's hands, you know, all that bullshit. But, you know, don't do that. You know, I think one of the ways that secular communities can be safer is that we can actually adhere to safeguards. And qualifications are safeguards, especially when it comes to that a doctor, you know, doing his residency is a safeguard for people who have to deal with that doctor. You know, it's just like, let's make sure he knows what he's doing, right? So that's that. And then again, that ethical leadership thing, you're not going to have ethical leadership if you don't train your leadership. So make sure You get your teams trained, and that includes yourself. That includes
count yourself in.
And as I've kind of said with everything, figure out what that looks like, you know. And then dang. Okay, yeah, that's it. Well, let's close there. People are not easy. That's really like one of the things you're gonna have to figure out. People are not predictable. And though we are all similar, none of us are the same. So it's not currently possible to predict everything you will need to do or everything that you will encounter. So having your finger on the pulse in the beginning will be helpful. Every time I've seen people try to build something for people under the assumption of ease, like, you know, this is just going to be easy, people get hurt. So if you are going to be committed to building some type of community or helping other people build some type of community, I encourage you to go ahead and figure out or realize that it's going to be work. It's not necessarily going to be easy, and that's because people are complicated. Each one of us bring our own variables into play. So, and that's why I do try to steer anyone away from don't feel like you have to have the whole plan or have all the answers, you know, before you get started. You know, just have some people, have some general ideas, and have some people to start talking to, because community grows and change and evolves as people do, you know.
Yeah.
And so every time a person joins that community is going to change. Every time a person grows in themselves in that community is going to change. And when those things happen, you need to be kind of adaptable, flexible. Otherwise, you will run the risk of trying to force people to live by ideas you had 5 years ago, you know, and that's not a good idea. And so next week is going to be a more laid back conversation, which I said last week, because this week I think we had like 7 pages of notes to get through. Next week, it will be only 1 page of notes because we really want to have more conversation. And so next week, the topic is how to create a supportive community. And so we want to talk about a hierarchy of needs in that aspect. So in that, we'll deal with quite a few things. But in that one, we're going to be sitting back, relaxing a little more. We may dress down a little bit. I don't know.
I know we kind of dressed up today.
Yeah. You tried to outdo me. No, you were dressed before I was.
Yeah.
I'm always the last one to get dressed, but that's because I get dressed the quickest. Y'all see, I don't put a lot of work on my beard, you know, but I actually kind of like this look on me. It's sexy, if I can say so myself. I think so. I mean, this could be a little cleaner, but you know, but it is what it is.
Appreciate it.
Man, we try. We try. I try. You know, there's still a whole fool in here, but yeah. But no, thank you all for joining us this week of Sunday Sessions. I want you to consider joining us again next week, and then of course, perhaps bring in a friend, because that's what we do. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Consider joining our community. Consider volunteering in our community. Check out our merch, and of course, share this with everybody you can. We're going to drop some forms in the chat. The first one is how may we help you? This is a quick survey. It's just like, hey, how can we help build community? What do you need more of from community? What do you need less of from community? How do you want secular community to be different? Help us out. Throw us some information. Now, listen, I'm not promising that we're going to do it, but actually having that information helps us think about some things that can be done, some things that we can do. And this is also us modeling one of the things that we've said that we've kind of talked about through all 4 weeks so far, and that is getting community feedback. I try not to say too much concrete stuff on our Sunday sessions because I don't want you to think I'm just the mastermind, which I do call myself that, but I'm not. I am a mastermind. I am not the mastermind. You know, we are all masterminds to me. Or we all can be. So, but I don't want it to be the Bahamas are in the house.
All right.
Yes. I love that. That is, look, we're literally all over the place, man. All over the place. But yeah, if you're interested in community and you have some ideas about how community can better serve you, you can fill out that one. The next one is what you drop in there, accepting the invite. And that's the one I said I was going to look at. Yep. Okay. Yeah. This is for, if you want to help us build this online community, you can fill this form out. These are the easy forms. If you want to help build a local community where you are, and you just want support for that, fill this form out. If you want to learn more about building community, like you're like, I ain't committing to shit yet, but I do want to learn more about it, fill this form out. If you want to learn more about personal growth, which is actually a personal passion of mine. Now, my idea of personal growth is teaching you how to kind of mastermind your way through. I'd love to share some information with that. And that's one of the things we want to do with our community. We want to use our community to help people grow in themselves. And then last, if you just want to connect with the community, again, that's the type of person who says, I don't necessarily want to help build it. I may volunteer every now and then, but please don't depend on me. I just need this community for myself. And we do want to create a place safe enough where people can do that, to say, hey, I'm not here to work yet. I'm not here to help. I'm not here to build. I'm not here to give financially. I'm here because I just think I may need this right now. And we'd want to know that, so we can honor that. So you can fill out that form for that one. And then the last one is sign me up, which is a step further.
Thank you.
What? Hey, appreciate that. Beautiful. And this one is a little bit more like, especially for those of you who select, hey, I want to be a part of helping build this community, or I want to be a part of helping build a local community. This is the more active form. And so you're filling this one out if you want to be a part of one of those types of teams that I mentioned earlier, either a catalyst team, which means you want to be launching and leading community somewhere. So whether you're helping launching and lead this online community that we're doing, or you're helping launching and leading a community where you are locally, that you want to pick catalyst for that. So you either helping launch and lead this online, or right where you are, you're going to help launch and lead a community. You want to be a part of a catalyst like teams, and we'd love to see a whole bunch of catalyst teams.
Yes.
Core teams means you want to launch and lead capitalist. You want to launch and lead campus activities as a part of a community, which means, of course, if you pick that and there's nothing in your area local yet, we'll just keep working until we can get that local there, and so we can have you there. And then committed teams is the same way. You want to launch and lead community support services. And so for real, again, the most important things are catalyst teams, except for the online. For those of you who want to help us with the online experience, we can do catalyst, core, and commitment. For those of you who are wanting to build a local experience, core and commitment teams are really going to be dependent on catalyst teams, but please still fill out the form, because you have no idea who may be filling out a form somewhere else. And that there may be someone else in your region who's also filling out a form for catalyst while you're doing core. And so it may all work together. This is a small way for us to get an idea of who's out there, who wants to be a part, who wants to get involved with working, and where everybody is, so we can start kind of planning, mapping, and pulling people together. Did I say enough? I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Said some good stuff. Basically, connect.
Yeah. And again, not only are we making these offerings to say, hey, join us and do what we're doing, but we're also doing this to model it as well. For those of you who say, Darante, Darnaya, I like y'all and all, but I kind of want to do my own thing. I got my own stilo. And again, I'm a fan of that. I want more of that as well. I believe we can all work together, even if we're not doing the exact same things, but we're modeling this. So if you're kind of trying to figure out what it may look like for you, you can kind of use us as guinea pigs and be able to say, I kind of like what they're doing, or I don't like what they're doing. Like I use Sunday Assembly and Oasis as guinea pigs for me, which I like both of what they're doing. I may do a video critiquing them in good faith, not critiquing them trying to tear them down, but critiquing why I think they're being successful in certain areas and what I think they could do better. And how we're going to do different. But our goal would not be, hey, man, thank you for jumping in. And yeah, I got to jump on the line myself. Plus, Sundays are busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have a lot of options. Take advantage of them. I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh, modeling.
If you have time, go jump on the line, catch Dade and the crew.
Yep. Bad Faith Sunday. Bad Science Sunday is today. Please jump in. And we need to make that a part of our announcements. Like we just need to go ahead and have all of. I'll do that next week.
Church was early this morning.
Yep, not church. Yeah. So Next Sunday, if you're looking for something to do a little earlier before us, you can join Ichabod's YouTube, which is Brady Goodwin. They do Nurch, not church, and they're currently walking through the book of Romans, and so it's really good stuff. Right?
Yes.
Right? All right. Well, listen, y'all. We love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. This has been an excellent time. Do you have anything else, babe?
No, we appreciate y'all. Let's get connected. Let's keep growing.
All right. And until next time, keep rising and stay beautiful and all that good stuff. Stay progressive.